Good afternoon, one and all. Shall I start my session or wait for some time?
You can start, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, sir.
Tell me.
Hello.
Madam, tell me.
Sir, class start చేస్తా అన్నారు.
Yes, madam. 2 minutes, 2 minutes. I'm ready to start. 2 minutes, 2 minutes.
ఓకే సార్.
Okay, students. Welcome to GATE online classes, right? For engineering mechanics. Is my voice audible? Anybody please respond?
Yes, sir, audible.
Okay, thank you. Right. Okay. So let me know one thing. How many of you are attended my previous classes? I think this class is a combination of both mechanical and civil people. Uh, how many of you are attended previous this mechanics classes? Anybody there in this session? Are totally all the new members? Okay. Then one more. Uh, how many of you are from final year? Final year. No one. Then third year.
Yes, sir, myself, A3.
Okay, A3 is from third year. Okay, then remaining people, you all are from the second year or third year or final year. Okay, Suma third year. Okay, great. Jayanand third year. Okay, and Manjusha third year. Okay, fine. And one more clarification from your side. Whether you belongs to civil engineering or mechanical engineering. Jayanand civil. Okay. Manjusha civil. Okay. Raghunath mechanical. Okay, fine, right. Okay, we'll start the session. Don't waste too much time. Right. So in the previous classes, we complete some part up to static, right? And based on the notification of this year gate, again this year IIT Bombay people, they are going to organize, right? They changed some syllabus in mechanical stream as well as in civil stream. They changed some syllabus and they introduced some new patterns in the gate structure, right? So before we start our discussion regarding the subject, we need to know the strategy, the pattern of the gate. That is important. Why? Because there are some new changes happen in the gate, right? So from this year, and again they allow to write the third year people this gate exam in this year, right? So previously only final year people and the pass out people are eligible to write the gate, but this time again they give the chance to write the gate for the third year people also. Clear? So there are they made some changes. So first we need to know what are the changes happened in the gate, that in terms of the syllabus, in terms of the pattern, the questions, right, and the types of questions and the eligibility structure. It is very important. Why? Because this is not a ordinary type of exam, and that too for this exam there is a huge competition, right? And this is one of the best and one of the highly uh, qualitative exams related to technical students. Clear? It's very important, and that too this is uh, one of the best in India. This is the best exam for technical people. There is no other alternate for this. Okay, right. So first we need to know the strategy of the 2021 gate. Why? Because both the third years and the final years they are eligible to write, And this time they are giving mm, two options means at a time one student may choose may write two papers maximum. Okay, so in addition to your domain, you also eligible to write one more paper. Okay, I hope you all are aware with all this, but we need some strategical points and some clarifications from the gate point of view. Okay, so first we need to know, and first we discuss those points. Why? Because it gives some clarity and good thought process for us. Okay, why? Because it is not that it is not that much ordinary exam. Clear? We need some attention, we need some focus, we need some orientation, and we need some strategy to clear the gate. That is very important, right? So clear the gate is one approach, and achieve a good rank is next step. So first we need to clear the gate, and in that again we obtain the good rank. That is also important. Why? Because the most of the this all PSUs, most of the PSUs they merge in the gate exam. So based on the rank and the score you obtain the gate, so they call you for the interview, right? So most of all the PSUs they merge in the gate exam. So there is a huge demand and huge competition is also there for this exam, right? So we will see one by one, right? If anybody having any doubt, any clarification, any ambiguities at any moment of time, so please stop me and ask. Clear? Don't hesitate to ask any type of doubts regarding this technical aspect. Okay, don't hesitate to ask. Right. Okay, we will see one by one. So just a minute, I will share my screen. Yeah, is my screen visible to you? Anybody please respond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you. Right. Uh, right. So this year, this GATE 2021, organized by IIT Bombay, and these people, these IIT people, the Bombay people, uh, they are one of the uh, qualitative and the toughest part of the group related to these IITs, right? And again, this ranking, NIRF ranking in that, again, this IIT, they stood top three, right? So they are very strong in their the technical aspects, and they are also very strong in this application based and checking the knowledge of the student. So this year they are going to organize this IIT Bombay. They are going to organize, and there are some changes happening in the gate. Okay, the changes related to the 2021 gate. Okay, so both the third year, final year, and pass out students can apply. Is the point, and there is no guarantee that how many number of students are going to attempt this particular paper related to your stream or any stream. uh, we are not able to predict at now. Why? Because situation is not good outside the market, right? And so there may be there may be chance of participating this pass out students also. There may. Clear? So the third year and final year they are eligible, and related to the criteria, so the criteria of minimum percentage in BTech, so there is no criteria for minimum percentage. Whether if there any having any backlogs also, he or she eligible to write the exam. Okay, so there is no minimum criteria but for some exams in India, they put some criteria in the sense he or she must secure or having this much minimum percentage to attempt this exam. Like that, there are some criteria. But for this gate, there are no criteria. Even the student having the backlogs also is eligible for writing the gate, right? And there is no age limit, and there are no number of attempts. There is no limit for the number of attempts. In some exams like UPSC, like for that exams, there are some limits, number of attempts limitation is there. But for gate, there is no limit, right? And this year score is valid for 3 years. Clear? So these are some changes. The first change is uh, they're open the gates for the third years, right? This time. So previously this was there, but during the last 5-6 years they stopped the third year people. But this year again they open the gates for the third year also. So third year, final year, and pass out. So there may be a chance of more number of participation in writing this gate exam, right? And this score is valid for the 3 years. And so even though the students having the backlogs, they're eligible to write the exam. So these are some changes. And next time, so coming to papers. So this time a student can attempt a maximum of 2 papers. Clear? So there are some papers they introduce this year only, right? And related to this technical students, the engineering sciences and environmental sciences, there are the 2 papers and one more choice to the civil engineering in addition to their domain. So it's agriculture and planning and environmental sciences. For these papers also they are eligible. For mechanical engineering, engineering sciences. Okay. So student can attempt maximum of 2 papers this year. Clear? So you have to think and you have to decide whether you go for a 1 paper or go for the 2 papers. That is up to you, and it is limited to your wish and your objective and your goal. Clear? But this time they are allowed to write. Each students can attempt to write a maximum of 2 papers. So these are some changes, right? And again this every paper having their own syllabus structure, right? And at the same time they have their own framing. Clear? Right? And some of the important dates. Why? Because these important dates also are important. Okay, so they start the registration 14 September 20. Already now today it is 20 September. So already they open for registration, and the last date for closing of application is 30th September. Only they give only 16 days, around 50 to 16 days. So there is a chance with late fee, but without late fee they close the channel by 30th September. Okay, on January 8 they release the admit cards, and the exam dates are 5, 6, 7 of February and 12, 13, 14 of February. Okay, in previous years they usually conduct the exam on the first and second weeks of February, and that too this weekends, the Saturday and the Sunday, like that they conduct. But this time they give some more dates, the 5, 6, 7 and 12, 13, 14. So Friday, Saturday, Sunday of the first week of February, and again next week of February, that Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Clear? So and the results September on the 22nd March. So every year they give on 15th March, but this time they postpone 1 week. Clear? So this is important. Why? Because this 5, 6, 7 this weekend and 12, 13, 14 and this week, if any student can attempt to 2 exams, they get first exam in the first week and in the second exam in the second week. So like that they planned, and that's why they took 3 days in a week. Okay. Right, and they're expecting this time many number of participants and applications because also, and there are no not readily available the good jobs due to either this COVID or some market fluctuations. There are some factors related to employment, right? So that's why they are expecting, and that too they offer 2 papers for each student. So there is there will be increasing of number of participants. There will be a chance of increasing number of participants. So that's what they plan, and they give 3 slots of first week and 3 slots of the second week. right? If anybody attempting 2 papers in the first week, they are going to write the first paper, and in second week they are going to write the second paper. This is important. Okay, so already the registrations are open. So who are not apply till, so go ahead and apply and complete the proceedings within the stipulated time. Okay, right. And next, so these are the important dates. And coming to the number of questions and the patterns. So earlier the question pattern and the number of questions that is same compared to the previous years. The total number of questions are the 65. Among the 65 questions, 55 questions related to both the technical and the mathematics, and the general aptitude questions are the 10, right? And this mathematics and the technical paper for the total marks of 85 marks, and for the general aptitude there are the 15 marks, so totally for the 100 marks. So in that technical marks of 85, again there are some 1 mark questions and there are some 2 marks questions, and in general aptitude again there are 1 mark questions and the 2 marks questions. Finally, the total marks of the gate paper is 100 marks, and the total number of questions are the 65 questions, and the time duration is 3 hours. Clear? The time duration is 3 hours. So if you take there are totally 65 questions and 180 minutes approximately for 1 question. The maximum time it will be around 2.7 minutes, like that. Okay, around 2.7 minutes, like that, the maximum time. Some questions it may be to be straight and low time consumption based questions, but the maximum time for each question it be around 2.7 minutes around. So 65 questions of the 180 minutes. Clear? So these are the number of questions related to exam pattern. So totally 65. In that 65, 55 are from technical. In the technical again they include the mathematics also, and the general aptitude related to 10 marks. So previously this 15 questions, and in general aptitude they include some part of mathematics, like that. There is some variation, but this time they strictly stick to this technical aspect, both the mathematics and the technical aspect, for 55 questions, right? And next part. So coming to the questions pattern. Okay, so in the previous paper and the earlier gate patterns, they mainly focus on the MCQs, multiple choice questions, and numerical answer types, NATs. But this time they introduce one more concept called the MSQs. MSQs. If you see this which is violet color boxes, MSQs, multiple selected questions. Multiple selected questions. Clear? So these MCQs everybody knows. So those are the objective type of questions. For 1 question there are 4 answers. Among the 4 answers, 1 answer will be the correct answer. So in that again there are 1 mark questions, and again there are 2 marks questions. But for the objective type of questions, there is one hurdle. There is one constraint. What is that constraint? For MCQs, multiple choice questions, there is a negative marking. Clear? So 1/3 of negative marking is there for the MCQs, multiple choice questions, right? If a student failed to answer correctly for the multiple choice question, they reduce 1/3 in the sense around 33% of marks from the question. Okay, so that is the constraint, and that is ideal for the MCQs. And next, coming to MSQs, multiple selected questions. Then what it tells, multiple selected questions, what it tells. So again, in this MSQs, multiple selected questions, there are some 1 marks questions and there are some 2 marks questions. Okay, but there is one difference between this MSQs and MCQs. In MSQ, multiple selected question, these questions are again objective nature. But again, in that objective nature, again there are 4 options, but the correct answer or the choices related out of the 4, there will be 1 or more than 1 choices may be correct. That is the point. Okay, there may be 1 or more than 1 choices may be correct. In MCQs, there is only 1 particular choice or 1 particular solution or the answer to the question, only 1. But in MSQ, multiple selected question, there may be more than 1 choice. That is the problem. And that too, there is one more hurdle for this MSQs. There is no negative marking, but there will be no partial marking also. What does it mean? It means that if a student fails to answer all the correct answers, right, he will not awarded the marks. For example, for one particular question, there are two correct answers, but student able to find only one answer. That it as a partial marking. So for the partial marking type of answers, they are not ready to award the marks. So they need all the answers, all the choices, and all the answers. Okay, it seems to be okay, but there is a little bit twist in this type of pattern MSQs. Okay, we don't know whether two choices are correct or three choices are correct. Again, it depends on the intents of the question. That's the problem. But there is no negative marking. There is one favor. Okay. There is no negative marking, but at the same time, they are not allowing the partial answering, and the same time, if it is a wrong, they are not allowing, but there is no negative marking, right? So this is a newly introduced pattern this year. Earlier in 2002, before that 2004, on that time they have this pattern, but after 2004 onwards they remove and totally focus on the multiple choice questions and the numerical type answers. And from 11 or 10 onwards they started this online exam pattern. Before that they always conduct in the offline mode, right? So at that time all the patterns are in objective type, and there are some one mark question, and there are some linker patterns like that. There are some different patterns, but this year they introduced this MSQs again. Okay, so this is not new to the gate. This is old, one of the old pattern only, but this time again they are introducing this pattern MSQs. Okay, and finally the third one, the numerical answer type. Numerical answer type in the sense filling the blanks questions, and that too it stick to the numerical based questions, right? And again for this numerical based questions there is no negative marking. So, and overall conclusion of the question pattern, if you observe carefully, so for negative for objective type of questions there is a negative marking, but the choice and the selection of the answer is particular to one. But MSQs and the numerical answer types, there is no negative marking. But if the answer is not corrected in the sense, if you are not able to project the correct answer, they are not awarded marks to you. So that's the problem. So though student who focus more on this MSQs and the numerical type of questions, right? The chances of getting good marks will be high for him or for her. Okay, so this is one logic. At the same time, again, it needs some attention and a lot of practice required for attempting these type of questions, MSQs and the numerical answer type questions. Clear? It is very tricky base and the typical based, but if you have enough practice and enough subject fundamentals related to your domain, then you will comfortably attempt these questions, and you will score good marks. Clear? So any doubts so far? If anybody having any ambiguities or any doubts regarding, please raise. Okay, one way interaction is also not good. I need interaction from your side also. If it is okay, then we will move to further. Please respond. Students, please respond. Why? Because we came here to learn the things, and that to cracking the gate is not that much easy. It needs some skills and it needs some focus. Okay, and that to the focus related to the same intensity of focus. That is also again we need to crack the gate. Clear? Any doubts? Any doubts so far? So please respond. Okay, Jayanand, any doubts? Is it clear?
No doubts.
Okay. Are you applied the gate, or are you going to apply the gate? Next, Raghunath,
Sir,
it is okay? Any doubts?
uh, no doubt, sir.
Okay, it is clear to you. All right.
Thank you.
Okay, next, who are left? Next, Suma, is it okay for you? Any doubts?
Okay. Okay, sir.
Okay, and then next, who are Manjusha?
Yes, sir. Okay,
Okay,
sir.
it is clear. Up to now, it is clear. Okay, fine, right.
Yes.
Okay, next part. So coming to levels of question. What are the types of levels of question they are going to ask this year? Okay, the first type of questions related to this pattern, recall, right? In this recall type of questions, they are focusing on the facts, principles, laws, and memory based questions. Okay, memory based questions. So there are some straightforward questions, and that questions related to the principles. For example, what is Bernoulli's law, and what is D'Alembert's principle? Like that, there are some questions related to straightforward. Okay, so they focus on the facts, principles, laws, and memory-based questions. So from this category, getting the questions from this category, and that too, stick to 1 mark questions. Why? Because this straightforward questions when I got that much of a maximum mark, there will be chance of getting 1 mark questions. So this is a level one type of question. And next, level two question, comprehensive type of questions. The first level with the recall type, and second one with the comprehensive type of question. So in this comprehensive type of question, they are going to check the understanding of the basics of the student. Okay, how much extent, how much depth he understand the concept. They are check with the help of that comprehensive type of questions. They check the understanding ability of the student, right? So in the comprehensive, they check the understanding basics and the conclusions drawn from the basics. And the third part of levels, it comes under the application based. This is the third level of question pattern. So applying the knowledge either by computational or logical base. So computational base in the sense numerical base or the logical base. So, and finally analysis and the synthesis using the data, diagram, images, and some part of synthesis and the comparison of one conclusion to another conclusion. Right? We all are aware in our strength of materials there is one concept called the torsion concept. So in that there is one hollow shaft analysis and there is one solid shaft analysis. So after comparing these two shafts, which shaft is more in terms of the power and which shaft is more economical, like that, there are some conclusions. Clear. So based on the analysis part and the synthesis part, analysis in the sense dividing one part into break into small number of small parts, and again combining all the part, we conclude one answer and one solution. And that in terms of either answering part or the comparison part, like that, there is some question framing are there related to analysis and the synthesis. Okay, right. So this MSQs, multiple selected questions, and the numerical type of questions, these two questions mainly falls under these categories: comprehensive, application, and analysis and synthesis. So in our preparation, it is important to focus on the concepts, important to focus on the formulas, and important to focus on the understanding of the concept. And next part is applying the concept and conclusion. What are the conclusions drawn from that particular concept related to? Okay, so this is important in our preparation. Why? Because the time is very short. Already we are in September, and roughly we have October, November, December, so 3, and the January, around 4 into 30, 120 days. In the first week of February, we will attempt to go to write the exam. So around 120 days of time is there. Okay, so utilization of this time and the maximum utilization and the focusing on the concept, it is very important. So that too. So there are plenty of subjects and everyday regular practice is important, right? And focusing on each and every subject, and this the intensity of the focus and the orientation is important, and you need to maintain this focus from day 1 to day 100. That is important. Some people, they have a lot of energy and a lot of focus in early stage. In the day 1 they have the more energetic and more focused based, but the time runs on, and the circumstances slowly changes. They slowly change their focus, right? And ultimately they left off, and they are not cope up that much level, and finally they leads to fail. Okay, so the focus is very very important. Focus is very important. So what to do, what not to do, and everything is important, right? So these are the levels of questions. The first one is recall, second one is comprehensive, the third one is the application, and the fourth one is the analysis and the synthesis. In general in our academic type of exams, mainly focus on this some part of comprehensive and this application based. Okay, there are some subjects related to this analysis and synthesis, but the most of the times our academic exams mainly focus on the this first two levels, the recall and the comprehensive type of questions. Define Newton's seconds law, give some examples, explain these, what is the difference between these two, this and that, differentiate these two concepts, like that. There are some academic questions. So getting through in the academic exam and academic paper is not that much difficult, but attaining good rank and clear the gate is not that much easy. It needs some attention and it needs some hard work. Okay, hard work, that too continuous hard work, that is important. Clear? So these are the levels of question, right? So try to uh, focus on these levels, on these categories. Okay, next part, coming to our discussion. Just a minute, there is some syllabus changes regarding the civil and the mechanical part. I will say you just a minute. Okay, so this is already the gate brochure, they already released. Okay, this is the point. Information brochure they released, but in the civil and the mechanical people, so there is some syllabus change. Okay, just a minute. This is regarding the agriculture based and civil engineering, right? Biomedical, right? Civil engineering. So the mathematics point of view, there are some changes, and related to this mechanics point. In the mechanics point, for civil engineering people, they are newly introduced this free vibration of a undamped single degree of freedom systems. Okay, so in earlier syllabus it is not there, but this year they introduced this free vibration of undamped single degree of freedom systems. Okay, so this is a new concept to the engineers, civil engineers. Why? Because in the section 2 of this syllabus, structural engineering, they include engineering mechanics, soil mechanics, and the structural analysis. So in this structural analysis, there are some analysis related to the bending actions, bending moment, right, and the determinacy, and related to the distribution based, and there are some methods related to structural part, and there is one separate part for the structural analysis. Among those, the vibration analysis is also one of the part for civil engineers. Okay, at the BTech level it may not, but in related to this MS and the MTech program, they have the structural vibrations in structural analysis. So at this level, they're going to check some part of basic understanding of this single degree of freedom systems related to vibrations, and that to free vibrations. So this is the new topic this year. These people, they are introduced, right, in the syllabus. Okay, and coming to mechanical people, this is the environmental engineering, and coming to this mechanical people, electrical, and finally electromagnetism. Okay, environmental chemistry, right? Water treatment, applied. What is this? Geology, geography, and information technology, signals measuring, mathematics, mechanical engineering, right? So in this mechanical engineering, so there is some part of new related to this engineering mechanics. In this engineering mechanics, they introduce the Lagrangian equations and some part of dynamics part related to, right? And again, so there is a separate section on these vibrations. So free and the force vibration of a single degree of freedom systems. For mechanical people, there is a lot of discussion and in-depth focus on the vibrations. But for civil engineering, they restricted to the discussion to the single degree of freedom vibrations. Okay, so this is newly introduced, and this is a regular concept of the mechanical engineers. So at this moment, where we first started with this new concept. So and it will cover both mechanical and the civil people. Okay, and for mechanical, they have some inner depth and there are some force vibrations also. But for civil people, they restrict to this discussion up to free vibrations, and that do single degree of free vibrations, and there is no damping conditions. So first we will discuss these topics, and we'll focus what are the previous gate questions related to this topic, right? And some part of practice questions, and then we move to next topics. Is it okay? Is it okay? Is it clear? Yeah, students, please respond. I think all are sleepy. Shall I continue?
Yes, sir. Continue, sir. We have it kept in chat box.
Okay. Okay, clear, sir. Okay. Thank you. Right. Okay, right. So in this class, we started this topic, vibrations, and it is new to civil engineer, and it is important for mechanical engineer. Why? Because for mechanical engineers, in weightage point of view, in gate there is a each and every subject they have some weightages, right? For mechanical engineering and related to this vibrations, they have around this 4 to 5 marks of weightage is there. Okay, so every time, and again the last time also the cutoff mark for general candidates it around 34 to 35 marks, and for reserved candidates, okay, it may 4 or 5 marks variation related to this general approach. Okay, so we need to, if we want to clear the gate exam, just for the clearing of the gate exam, you need to you must achieve that 35 marks of out of 100 marks, right? 35 marks. So each concept and each mark is valuable, and each practice and discussion is also important for attaining each and every mark. So among that that 55 questions, and again there are some mathematics questions. So my suggestion and my recommendation from my side, all of you, so please spare 1 hour time to uh, mathematics in your day to day, right? A day to day program. So spare at least 1 hour time for the mathematics. Why? Because there are some 8 to 10 questions related to mathematics, and if you start practicing from now onwards, at the end of the revision and at the end of the that mathematics part, you are able to achieve at least 9 to 10 marks, 9 to 10, 8 to 9 marks. Okay, so out of 35 and out of 30, 8 marks will obtain to the mathematics, and the remaining part, okay, nowadays all the technical students they are enough mature to attempt the general aptitude questions. At least if you consider the 50% of the aptitude questions, we will get the 4 to 5 marks on that. So this 8 marks and the 5 marks or 13 marks will cover from this mathematics and the aptitude, and we need to grab around 17 to 20 marks from the technical part, right? So try to focus on the important concepts in the in our technical domain, and gaining and achieving each and every mark is important. So collecting one mark and put into in our pocket is also very important to score and to clear the gate exam. Why? Because those who clear this gate exam, they are eligible to take the stipend. Now it is around 12,600, 12,400, around 12,400 there per month. That government offers stipend to the students, right? So who are clear the gate exam, since just attain the qualifying mark and just cross the qualifying mark. So for them, the government will provide the stipend in terms of that that cash in terms of the stipend part. Now it is around 12,400, I think so. Clear. So just clearing that gate exam, first it increases your confidence levels related to achieving that much amount, around 12,400 per month, is also one of the success. Okay. And while when you attempt this campus drives, so they give priority to this qualified people also. Why? Because they already proved and they qualify the gate exam, right? So indirectly it indicates that you have enough talent and caliber related to your technical domain. So you have some weightage in our campus drives. And first of all, it increases your confidence levels. That's all. First level, it increases your confidence level. And there is a separate recognition for the gate clear people, gate qualified people, right? So try to focus, try to achieve that status, right? And so be attentive, be focused, and be patient. Okay. So we start the discussion related to this first part. Related to the first part in the sense vibration based. It is important for both the streams, both the mechanical and the civil people. Okay, we will continue the first part. So related to vibrations, right? In engineering mechanics mainly focus on the two states in the sense two conditions. One related to the static part, that means the rest condition, and another one related to the dynamic part, motion condition. Again, the most of the times all the people they get confused and they are not able to reproduce or recollect how you differentiate the rest condition and the motion condition of a object or the motion condition of a particle, like that. Okay, so both the rest and the motion, so these two are very very important. And finally, this mechanics mainly deals these bodies, those bodies which are in either rest condition or motion condition. That's all, and there is no other alternate. Either the bodies are kept in rest condition or the bodies are kept in motion condition. That's all, right? Okay, so tell me one thing. So okay, Jayanand, so how you define the rest condition of a body? Jayanand, please respond. Are you there? Any idea? Okay, if you are not able to speak, then type in the chat box. It is okay for me. How you define the rest condition? No motion, no force acting in it. Oh, okay, fine. Vasu Teja. Okay. Any answers? No motion, no force. Okay. Then what is meant by motion? How you define the motion? That is again that's the problem. And what is meant by force? That is also point. So these are some keywords. The keywords in the sense key concepts and keywords, and these are very very important for understanding the subject. So mainly these gate people, they are mainly focused on these type of approaches. Okay. So for the rest and the motion, there is a clear difference. The clear difference and distinguish between these two states. So whenever a body or the particle or a system said to be in rest, right? How we conclude that this particular system or the state, they are maintaining the rest condition. Okay, let's see. With respect to the time and with respect to the surroundings, with respect to the time and with respect to the surroundings, if any object doesn't make any changes related to that position, their position, its position, or changes related to its location. Okay, I repeat, a body is said to be in rest with respect to its time and with respect to its surroundings, right? Body is said to be in rest if with respect to the time and with respect to the surroundings there is no change in location or the change in position of a state, position of a system. Clear? Here the keywords are the with respect to the time and with respect to the surroundings. In technical sense, those surroundings we treat it as a reference. Okay, why? Because the time is a independent quantity and this reference is a dependent quantity. So based on the depend point, the reference changes from one point to orientation to another point. So a body is said to be in rest when it doesn't change its location or position with respect to the time and surroundings. Clear? So what is then how you define the motion? The quite opposite to the rest condition. Okay, so in the rest condition we conclude that body doesn't change its position or location with respect to the time and surroundings. If a body changes its location and surroundings with respect to changes the location or position with respect to the time and the surroundings, it comes under the motion part. Right? Is it clear? Any doubts? If anybody having any ambiguities and any controversies related to this, please raise. Please raise. The rest and the motion. Is it okay? Right. Okay. So the bodies are said to be in rest. Vasudeja, which Vasuteja? Okay. Which branch you are from? Which branch belongs to? Mechanical. Okay, fine, good. Okay, right. So a body is said to be in rest if it doesn't change its position or location with respect to the time and the surroundings. Right. So this engineering mechanics is the branch of science which deals the bodies either in rest condition or in motion condition. So the whole subject of the mechanics mainly deals the bodies. So there are different types of orientations and discussions related to these bodies. The basic part with the particle. So there are some classical mechanics and there are some particle mechanics and like that. And after that, they start the discussion the rigid bodies. But in reality, there are no rigid bodies. But with respect to the dimension and the analysis purpose, they did all the bodies with the rigid bodies. And on the rigid bodies, what is the discussion related to this mechanics point of view related to the static point and the dynamic part? Okay, the discussion is going on like that. But coming to this GATE exam, they mainly focus on the understanding of the concept. That is important. Okay, so this is the basic definition of the motion and the rest. So this mechanics mainly deals the bodies which are in either rest condition or in motion condition. And next, one more point related to the force. Right. In nature, again, if you observe carefully, in our day-to-day life also, all the objects, they are maintaining either rest condition or motion condition. There is no another state. Okay. Some objects in our vicinity, they are maintaining the rest condition, and some objects, they are in the motion condition. Right? If you want to change this rest condition to motion condition or motion condition to rest condition, we need some external tool, external part, right? So that external tool, in technical sense, we treat it as a force. Okay, so force is a tool or force is an agent which used to disturb the state of an object, the state of a body. Okay, so then the subject what it tells, okay, there are some bodies which are in rest and there are some bodies which are in motion. And based on our requirement and based on the objective, sometimes these rest bodies must convert in to change their configuration or position to motion. And sometimes those motion bodies again comes to rest. Like that, there are some objectives and requirements related to us. So based on that, we are applying the external tool in terms of the force. So the force is an external agent which used to change the state of a body, right? Which used to change the configuration of the state of a body. So this mechanics helps to study what are the different states of a object, or what are the different states of a body, how to maintain those states in terms of the equilibrium, right? How to disturb that state with the help of the external tool, that is nothing but the force, and how much amount of force it required. Like that, the subject will tell. Clear? Right. So how we conclude the body is in rest once again, sir? Okay. Issue. Okay, right. Okay. I will tell. No problem. How we conclude the body is in rest once again. Okay, right. I hope you all are right. You all are listening this class with your phones. I think so, right? Most of the people they're attending the class with your phone. Okay, right. Okay, I will clarify your doubt. No, don't worry. Right. Okay. The rest condition. Okay, let me focus. Right. Rest condition. So there are some bodies. For our discussion sake, we treat as a bodies. Sometimes the bodies like as a uh, particle, rigid body, system of bodies, like that. There are some bodies. So our attention is to check in the sense to confirm that this body is in rest. Okay, how we conclude this body in rest? Okay, right. So for that, first we need to know the surroundings of a body. For example, uh, for the discussion sake, just to take, so you have a phone in your hand. You have a phone in your hand. Okay. So for your phone, the surroundings are your hand. If anybody is nearer to the phone, those are the surroundings. We treated those are the surroundings. Okay. So at this moment, so just note down the time. What is the time at present? Okay, it is around 4:45 something. Okay. After 2 minutes or 3 minutes, again you observe what are the surroundings. What are the surroundings for your phone? Okay. So if the surroundings are same as before the surroundings, that is nothing but your hand and the near vicinity tools, there is no change in your surroundings. And if there is no change in your point of perception in the sense the point of view, then based on these two, one is with respect to surroundings and another one is with respect to time. Okay. Before the observing, the time starts at, for the discussion sake, let it be take 4 o'clock, and after 4 minutes or the 5 minutes, again the time is running, but the body or the object which is there in our hand, it doesn't change its position or location. So based on these, one with respect to time and one with respect to surroundings, the body doesn't change its position or the location. Then what is the position and what is the location? Again, these are the common sense questions. Okay. And the position of the location with respect to your understanding, I hope you are able to know. Okay. So if there is no change in position and the location with respect to the time and the surroundings, then the body is said to be in rest condition, right? For any object, first you fix the surroundings. That surroundings technically we treat it as a reference. Okay. So first you fix the reference. So with respect to that reference, observe the body, right? With the help of the time. Okay. When you start the observing the body, uh, take down the time, right? And after some time value, so again observe the surroundings and the reference and the locations of the object. If you conclude both the surroundings and the object location and the displacement value something, it is same as the previous one, the body is in rest condition. Okay. So both the location and the position with respect to time and the surroundings and doesn't change. That is important. Then how you calculate the change? Change is nothing but again change is equal to the final value minus initial value. Okay, final value minus initial value. Final value in terms of whatever our discussion based on that final value. If the final value equal to initial value, there is no change. Okay, that is one important. If the final value equal to initial value, there is no change. And the most of the times our engineering systems we treated systems are in steady state condition. So that steady state condition, nothing but there is no change in the final value and the initial value. If there is a change, the net change value equal to 0. When the final value equal to initial value, the change equal to 0. With the final value greater than initial value, then the change equal to greater than 0. If the final value less than initial value, then the change equal to less than 0. So there are some inequalities: change equal to 0, change greater than 0, or change less than 0. Apply this inequality to our discussion. If the change equal to 0, here what is the change? The change in terms of the position, the change in terms of the location, right? Note down the location with respect to initial time, note down the location with respect to the final time. If there is any change, okay, then there is a change in the location, the position, then the body is said to be in motion. If there is no change equal to 0, then the body is said to be in rest condition. Okay, so just by observing, this is the point, and by concluding, how we conclude based on this change location. Okay, is it clear? Is it clear? It should run. Is it okay for you, or you need some more clarification on this? Okay, ma, thank you. Right. And coming to this motion part, this is quite opposite to the rest condition. So these are the three terms: one related to force, rest, and another one related to motion, and the third one related to force. So the subject related to the rest condition of objects and the force associated with the rest condition, that subject we treated as a statics. Okay, statics part. And the subject related to the motion condition of an object and the forces associated with the motion part, that subject we treat as a dynamics. So in some in someone's curriculum, so there are two separate parts. One is the engineering part 1, engineering mechanics 1, engineering mechanics 2. Like that, there are some separate parts. So in the part 1 of engineering mechanics, they studied all the concepts and the discussions related to the static part, and related to this dynamic part. That is a paper 2 in engineering mechanics part 2. But either it may be by engineering part 1, engineering mechanics part 2. That is just for distinguishing these two. But this mechanics finally deals, it helps to know what are the forces acting on the body. Due to that forces, what is the state of a body, right? And how to find the resultant of a force, and due to the resultant force, whether the body maintains the same condition of a state or the changes its state. Like that, the discussion is going on in the engineering mechanics. But finally, the mechanics mainly run around these topics only: static part, dynamic part, and the forces related to the static and the dynamic. Okay, right. So before that, we need to know one more clarification. Anybody please answer, what are the characteristics of the forces? What are the characteristics of a force? Characteristics of a force. Anybody? Don't hesitate to interact. Okay, so this is very important for developing the knowledge, developing the subject. This is very important. Why? Because just now we saw the levels of the gate pattern. There are some recall levels in the sense in terms of memory base or in terms of the principles, and there are some comprehensive understanding the concept, that is also important, like that. Okay, right. So don't hesitate to interact with me, even though if it is wrong, okay, try to interact first. If it is right, okay, we will add some more light on that concept. If it is a wrong, then we will first clear those misunderstanding and misconcepts, and focus on the right way. Okay, right. So that is important in learning process, and that too this much this type of exams we need a good understand. That is important. Okay. Some people they are responding. Churan say he said the tensile forces. Okay. Hindu mass and acceleration, and the Raghunath, the magnitude and the direction. Okay. People are responding. Fine, good. But for characteristic of a force, they clearly and very straightforward they define perfectly the characteristics of a force. Why? Because these characteristics are also very important in analyzing the force systems. That is important. Force systems. Okay. In analyzing the force systems. Okay. Let's first we discuss the first part of the force characteristic is magnitude. That is important. Okay. The first characteristic is magnitude. So magnitude always tells how much amount of. Okay. Why it is important? Based on the magnitude of the force, it will decide whether this force will give disturbance to the system or not. That is important. Why we need disturbance? We need to stop the motion object sometime, and we need to start the rest condition bodies sometimes. So this magnitude of the force will decide whether this force is sufficient to start or to whether this force is sufficient to stop. That means whether this magnitude of the force is sufficient, is it enough to stop, to create the disturbance of a object. Disturbance in terms of the locational change or in terms of the positional change. So the first characteristic is the magnitude. This is important. And the next, second characteristic, direction, right? In which direction it is going to act, right? Manjusha tells it is a vector quantity. Good. Force is a vector quantity. Good. Why? Because this vector quantity contains both the magnitude and the direction, right? So again, the second characteristic for a force is direction. Clear? So this is the second characteristic, in which direction it is going to act. So based on this direction, there is one principle called the transmissibility of a force. Right? It going to act along the line of action of the force. Like that, there is a transmissibility of force. So this is the second point. The first point with the magnitude, and the second part with the direction. And the third characteristic. The third characteristic is the point of application. At which point it is going to act. That is important. Right? Point of application. And the fourth characteristic is the sense. Whether it acting towards the right or towards the left and towards the up and towards the down, like that. Okay. Some people they treated that these two, the last 2 points, the direction, the point of application and the sense, they treat it as a one characteristic. Why? Because whenever you mention the direction part, it indirectly tells in this way the force is going to act. So again, there is no need to discuss either it goes on the right way or left way or the upward or downward. That is some people their perception, okay, their interest and their opinion related to the sense. But some people they states that for a force, these 4 are the important characteristics. So one is the magnitude, how much. Second one is the direction, in which direction. Third one is the point of application, and fourth one with the sense. But in most of the textbooks, while we are reading these textbooks also, most of the times in most of the textbooks they are mentioned only there are 3 characteristics for a force. But only in few textbooks and some few people only they focus on the 4th characteristics, the sense of a force, right? Okay. We will also follow these 3 characteristics, and finally we conclude. So the magnitude, the direction, and the point of application, these are the characteristics of the force, right? So with the help of these forces and the initial rest condition and the motion condition and the overall relationship and the association of the forces to these states, that whole subject is the engineering mechanics, right? And the subject is very important for both the streams, both the mechanical and civil people. Why? Because if you observe in our GATE syllabus, in the section 2, the first part with the engineering mathematics, and in section 2 for mechanical people, they put the design part of applied and related to design subjects. And for the engineering people, they put the structural design. Like that, there are some headings are there. In that section, for both the mechanical and the civil people, first they put this engineering mechanics. What is the logic? Based on this engineering mechanics, the remaining subjects and the all the go through next level of subjects are depend on this mechanics part. So this is the basic part, and if you are mastering the subject in a good manner, then the remaining subjects automatically become easier to you. Yeah. So there is some separate weightage sometimes in GATE paper, but in recent years, the last 3 or 4 previous years, most of the times they include this engineering mechanics principles and the concepts into remaining frames. Remaining frames in the sense, in this engineering mechanics, there is a concept called the free body diagram. Again, in the strength of metals, you are using this free body diagram, and the structural analysis, you are using this free body diagram, and this vibration part, you are using this free body diagram, like that. So instead of giving separate channel to this free body diagram, they are mixing and one-to-one concept and able to frame the questions related to the test of understanding to test the understanding ability of a student. Okay. So in the recent years in the sense last 3 or 4 years, they mainly use this engineering mechanics principles to test the student knowledge of other subjects and incorporating these principles into other subjects. Okay. So the subjects which are related to and depend on the subjects, like that. So they are not giving separate pages. Sometimes they give directly from engineering mechanics. So most of the times they incorporate these principles in the other subjects. So this is very important. So for either mechanical student or a civil engineer, if you are master this subject, then the remaining subject becomes easy to you. Okay, right. So at this moment, so the summary of the discussion related to this part is one related to force and one related to the static and one related to dynamic and the characteristic of a force, right? And this engineering mechanics mainly deals the bodies, the objects or the particles which are in either rest condition or the motion condition, and this is one way of defining the force. And another way of defining the force is another way of defining this mechanics subject is the forces and the relationships between the bodies and the forces and the association between the forces and the bodies. Like there is another way of defining the definition of the subject. Okay, but in the present and today's class, our objective is to related to this mechanical vibrations. I think actually all these discussions related to the static part and dynamic part, I completed all these sessions before the lockdown time, and I don't know how many of you are attended those sessions, right? And I hope I hope you all are aware all this, and we will start this session as a new. And that too, it is important for both the people, both the civil and mechanical people. Okay, so after completing this topic, then we will move to next topics in the engineering mechanics. Okay, and don't bother about the previous classes, right? If you have any doubt, any lagging related to the concept at any moment or at any junction of the discussion, so please stop me and ask the questions. Don't hesitate to ask questions, right? So this is not a regular academic based class. Why? Because so there is no repetition in the GATE exam. There are the very few, and there is a very less percentage of repeating the previous questions in the GATE exam. Every time, every year, they are going to frame new questions, but they are repeating the old concepts only. That's all. Okay, very few percentage repeating of old questions. The repetition process is they limited to very less percentage. So don't expect and don't underestimate, this competition exam. Okay, it is one of the measuring device of your knowledge and the testable of your understanding of your technical stuff. Clear? So be serious, be sincere. That is very important. Be sincere and work like a hard worker. That is important, right? And focusing on each and every concept. That is also very important. Okay. So shall I continue further, or any doubts at this junction? Please respond. Is it okay, students? Okay, Vasu Teja. Okay, continue, sir. Okay, right. I will take up to 5. Don't worry. Already it is around 4:20. Okay. I will take the class up to 5 o'clock. So be patient. Don't hesitate. Right. Okay. Right. So coming to this mechanical vibration. Right. So in that motion part, again there are different types of motions. The first type of motion be the translatory motion. Clear? So in the translatory motion, again there is a rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. Translatory motion, in that again there is a rectilinear motion and curvilinear motion. And the next another motion is a circular motion. Circular motion. There is the second part of the motion, circular motion. So there is a difference between the circular motion and the curvilinear motion. So circular motion, in the sense, the motion completes the full part of a circle form, but a curvilinear motion, other than the circular in the sense any curve, it is having some radius of curvature like that. Any curve other than this linear and the circular, it comes on the curvilinear type of motion. But both the curvilinear and the rectilinear, that it has the translatory type of motions and the circular motion. And the next part with the rotatory motion. Right, this is the third part, rotatory motion. And the fourth one with the oscillatory type of motion. Oscillatory type of in the motion sense, in the strictly speaking, periodic motion, and fifth one with the non-periodic motions, and the repetitive type of motions and the non-repetitive type of motions. In the repetitive type of motions, it comes on the periodic motion. In the periodic motion, again, it is a oscillatory type and some part of a vibration motion. Okay, if you observe this slide, right? So there is a repeating motion of this. Repeating this motion after a fixed interval of time. It comes on the repeating type of motion. But in the repeating type of motion, there is a classification of oscillatory motion and the vibration motion. Okay, so it comes under the dynamics part, not related to static part, but it comes under the dynamics part. But it is having some significance and it is having some special importance, these vibrations too. So that's why for mechanical people there is a separate subject, this vibrations. But in civil point of view, most of the times civil people, they are mainly focused on the static condition objects. Okay, static objects in the sense the structures and the constructions what you develop in your career, they mainly focus on the static modes. Okay, there are some dynamic modes, but most of the times civil people, they are mainly focused on the static part. So resultant forces acting on the systems equal to 0. But related to mechanical, then sometimes they focus on the static conditions, and most of the times they focus on the dynamic part. Why? Because all the machinery conditions and the structures related to mechanical systems, they're mainly in the dynamics part. So for mechanical people, there is a separate subject, and for this time, this IIT Bombay people, they introduce this dynamic part of a little bit to the civil people also. Why? Because this vibration also is very important for structural point of view. So for structure also there are some vibrations. So that's why they put this concept in your syllabus also. Okay, right. So first we covered this undamped vibration system in terms of a single degree of freedom, right? So so then it helps both the streams, both mechanical and the civil people. And most of you are new to me, and I hope you all are attend my class, and this is the first class to you, I think so, right? Okay, so that's why we start this discussion, this new topic related to these vibrations for both the stems. Okay, right. So we will see one by one. What is this? What is that? Like that. Okay. So this is one part. And coming to this vibrations, this is another approach. Yeah. Right. If you observe this, so there is a repeating type of motion, and if you project this repeating type of motion into this, so it seems there is a circular motion. The projection of this point, this green point, it seems to be there is a circular motion. And this there are two waves, and these two waves makes some interference and the construction destruction mode, like that. There is some interference, and there are the wave interference, and this is a separate subject. In all this these three figures, so what we observe is, so there is a repetitive type of motion, repetitive type of motion. So repeats its motion after an interval of time, right? So repetitive type of motion. And next, coming to this part, and vibration is very important, and it is there in our life also. Okay, it is there in our heartbeat, and it is there in our lungs, and it is there in our walking mode, and even in the hearing part also it is there. Why? Because when the human beings, they are in talking mode, so for every human being there is one vocal cord inside the body, right? So when he or she start talking, so this vocal cord starts vibrating. So based on that vibration, the sound will produce. That is again the basic funda for in the nature. So whenever a object is in a vibrating mode, it produces sound. That is the point. So, and these sound waves again, they uh, transmit or transform from one location to another location, and it reaches to the other person ears. And again in the ear, every human ear system, there is one eardrum. So due to this vibrations, again that eardrum again going to vibrate. So he or she able to sense, okay, this waves will communicate this information, like that they are sensing, right? In the listening activity and the talking activity, again there are vibrations. Clear? And coming to inside part of human bodies, the heartbeat and the lungs, right? Every time this heartbeat in the lungs, even when we are in sleeping mode, these are continuously working. Okay, so heartbeat in the lungs, they are continuously working 24 into 365 days, continuously they are working. So there is a repetitive type of motion. Coming to heart, we all are aware in our school level, it makes the sounds of lub dub lub dub, like that. There are some, and there is one frequency for that. For 1 minute of time period, this many number of times this lub dub will occur in every human being, like that. There is one biological supporting discussion, right? And similar for the lungs also. So these lungs also, every time it acts as a diaphragm, and it exhibits the to and fro motion from the time to time with respect to the reference based. So this heart and the lungs, they are producing the vibrations. Even the seeing part and the walking, everywhere there are vibrations inside the human body and in the life of the human body, life of the human, right? And coming to this in nature, again this comes on the earthquake related to this vibration part. Okay, so the earthquake and the intensity of the earthquake, like that. So again these phenomena also, these concepts, they are related to this vibration phenomena. Okay, and earthquake, how to measure the earthquake, that is separate subject. That is separate subject. How to measure the earthquake, what are the precautions, how we going to identify the earthquake zones, what are the different zones, and that is a separate part, and that is a separate subject. Here our focus is on the vibrations, or how to point. And next, so coming to these are the earthquakes, and next coming to vibration in the day-to-day life. In the day-to-day life also, vibrations are there in the transportation, and vibration is there in the machinery, conveyor belts, even in the recreation part, and when we are using these drill bits and the washing machine. In our day-to-day life, in all the home domestic appliances, one of the appliances, this washing machine, and we all are aware. So there are the different types of washing machines. The Some washing machines, they are fully automatic base, and some are semi-automatic, and some part related to the manual interaction between the system and the humans. For the fully automatic, either it may be fully automatic or semi-automatic, and finally while the washing machine operating in the drying condition and like that, they exhibit some vibrations. and we are in a position to able to listen that vibration part from the washing machine. So everywhere, if you observe keenly in your day-to-day life, you are able to get these vibrations in your inside your body and again in your life. Okay, right. So these are some points. And final, whether this vibration is a friend or a enemy, or a friend or a foe, that is also important. Yeah, if the vibration exceeds beyond a limit, it leads to some problems. That is the main headache for technical persons, technical students. Okay, if it exceeds some limit, then it leads to this problem called the resonance. Okay, this problem called the resonance. So we come across this resonance in our school intermediate, some school physics, right? Whenever a body matches its frequency to the external frequency, then the body starts vibrating vigorously, and that phenomena technically known as the resonance condition. Clear? And again, in the machinery part also, this vibration is there. And if the vibration exceeds the limits, it leads to the nonsense disturbance called the noise, right? And again, if it is in the good mode, if it is in the permissible limits and the good mode, and again, this vibration, it produces the good sound that we treat as a music, right? If you take any musical instrument, whether it is string based or it may be drum based or it may be that air based, either may be flute or that clarinet, like that, right? So any musical instrument, it works on the this vibration phenomena. Clear? So if you take the drum, if you strike the drum, so there is a membrane on the drum, then the drum undergoes the vibration. A vibration is it repeating its motion, oscillating the part, and it produces the good sound. That sound which has the music. And again, if it is the guitar or the violin, there are the strings on the guitar and the violin, and if you make certain disturbances to those strings, it produces the good sound, right? So sometimes this vibration, it acts as a friend, and sometimes it acts as a foe. But as an engineering people and as a technical people, we need to focus on the scenarios and situations where this vibration will create disturbance to the systems. That is important. If we are not in a position to uh, focus on the this disturbance occurs related to this vibration, that leads to fail of a system. That's the problem. So as an engineer, we are always to find the solutions to the problems in terms of the technical aspect, right? uh, so this is one of the important and focus area related to the technical aspects. Okay, we will see one by one. And what is the importance of the subject in terms of the gate point? That is important. Okay, knowing things is not important, but put into practice is important, right? So from now onwards, simply this listening part is not good. I recommend all of you take down the notes. Take down the notes in the sense, whenever it is important and whenever it is good and help to the gate point of view, I stress those concepts, right? At least you have to take those points in your notes. Okay, so simply attending these classes and simply watching and simply listening the classes is not enough. Why? Because gate need good amount of practice. Okay, so while writing and while take down these concepts and phenomena, right, it will keeps you in a revision mode also. So try to maintain notes, and whenever I stress it is important, try to take down in your notes somewhere else. Okay, I hope you all are clear with this, right? Okay, next. So coming to point, then what is meant by vibration? Okay, so in the previous slides we see what is the importance of vibration, and from now onwards we slowly enter into the original topic. What is meant by vibration? According to science definition, any motion which repeats after a fixed interval of time, that we treat it as a vibration. Here, the motion, right? Just now we discussed what is meant by motion. Motion is nothing but with respect to the time and the surroundings. If an object changes its position or location, then we conclude that the body is said to be in motion. Okay, so motion is one technical word. And the repeats, okay, it repeats, regaining, okay, after a fixed interval of time. Here again, that interval of time. Why? Because in nature, in the universe, the time is a independent quantity. Independent quantity. All the activities, whether it related to human activities or missionary based activities or any activity, always depends on the time. Okay, so time is the independent quantity, and the remaining all the activities are the dependent quantities. So any motion, just now we discussed, there are different types of motions which repeats after a fixed interval of time. But among that motions, there is one particular motion called the periodic type of repeating type of motion. In that repeating type of motion, there is again periodic motion, oscillatory motion, and the vibrating motion. So there is a slight difference between the oscillatory motion and the vibrating motion. For example, if you take this swinging phenomena, right? In the swinging phenomena, with respect to the mean position, the whole object undergoes the changes its position and repeats its motion after a fixed interval of time. The whole object, right? The swing in the swing. But coming to this guitar again, this guitar example. In that guitar example, if you struck the string will undergo and repeats its motion, but only some part of the string undergoes and the shape and the size will change. But in oscillatory motion, there is no change in shape and size. But in vibrating motion, there is a change in shape and size. That's the problem. Clear? Oscillatory motion also periodic motion, and it is a repetitive type of motion. It comes under the repetitive motions. But there is a slight difference. In oscillatory motion, the size and the shape of the body doesn't changes. But in periodic motion, the size and the shape of the body will change. At least some part and some percentage of size and shape will change due to distance. But both the motions exhibit to and fro, repeating type, periodic type. But only the difference is the change in its shape and size, right? But in our discussion, it comes under the vibration. So vibration is a periodic motion. Vibration maintains the to and fro motion. Vibration is a repeating type of motion. In addition to all this, it also exhibits the changes in its shapes and size, right? So those such type of motions we treat as a vibration part of motion. So according to science definition, any motion in the sense, any motion which repeats after a fixed interval of time, that it as a vibration. But that motion must also satisfy the technical aspect in terms of our discussions. Yeah. So this definition according to science based. And next base definition according to engineering based. So this is one point. So in terms of the engineering point, the relationship between the forces and the oscillatory motion of a systems. Okay, right. So here the force will disturb the system. Due to that force, there is a change in shape and size, right? But there is a periodic type of motion, so oscillating type of motions. So, but in loose sense, most of the times, many people they use these two words as a same context, but there is a slight difference between this oscillatory type of motion and the vibrating motion. Clear? Whenever there is a to and fro motion from our childhood onwards, we have that much impression on us that motion we treat as a oscillatory type of motion. But in technical aspects, there is a slight difference. Okay, so don't get confused between these two. So this is the definition related to engineering point of view. So why deals the systems between relationship between the forces and the motion of a systems. There is a point. And coming to the science point of view, it is repeating any motion, repeating itself after a fixed interval of time. Okay, so this is the engineering based point. And coming to next, for any vibrating system, these are some essential points. So these are the important. Okay, so try to focus on this and try to note down somewhere else in your notebook. So these are the three checking conditions and the essential parts of any vibrating system. Essential points. The first point is every vibrating system must have mass. That is important. must have mass. Okay, without mass, there is no system. And the most of the times, our engineering systems, any engineering systems, again they consider construct with the mass, right? Why? Because every engineer again needs the materials. Without materials, he or she, the engineer, not able to produce good systems. So the first essential point be system must have mass. That is first point. And the next point, that mass must have elasticity property. For every material, there are many properties. For example, if you take acoustic property, biological property, chemical property, electrical property, right, and the magnetic property, mechanical property, nuclear property, and there are some metallurgical properties. Like that, there are some properties. Okay, there are many of properties and plenty of materials available in the nature. So based on the engineer, the particular engineer requirement and their knowledge and their usability and their application, those engineers will select the required materials. Clear, right? So for our discussion, the vibrating discussion, that mass must have elasticity property. Then what is meant by elasticity? In our MOS and in deformable mechanics, we discuss this point, elasticity, right? So whenever a force is applied on the material undergoes some deformation. Deformation in the sense changes its dimensions. For every material, in reality, there are three orientations: the lengthwise, the widthwise, and the thickness-wise. Right? There are three dimensions. So there is a deformation in any. Sometimes it take linear in one direction. Sometimes it take at a time three. Right? So like that, there are some deformation. So after the removal of the load, if a body or the material able to regain its position, then the property exhibited by the material we treat as elasticity. Okay, so there is a force action. Due to that force action, there is a change in deformation, right? After the removal of the force, and the material able to regain its position, original position, then it seems to be elasticity property. And why it is important? Elasticity property is important for the to and from motion. If a force is acting on the object, and due to that force, if there is a change, there is a change in deformation. If the deformation is permanently happened, there is no elasticity in the material. That comes from the plasticity part. That discussion is different from this discussion. So coming to this vibration part, this elasticity property is very, very important. The first point is the system must have mass. The second point is the system must exhibit the elasticity property. And the next, third point, very, very important point, vibration is to be initiated. This is very, very important. Okay, without initiation, the vibration, the system will not exhibit the vibration. Then how to initiate? Okay, we will see in all those in the coming session discussions. Don't worry. And this is very, very important. Vibration is to be initiated, right? So these 3 points are the essential for every vibrating system. Must have a mass, it must have elasticity property, and vibration is to be initiated, right? So before the initiation, where is the vibration in the system? Sometimes people may get doubt, right? So the vibration is inside the system itself. Due to this initiation, it exhibits the vibration. So in our school level, either in 9th class or 10th class physics labs, we are having this tuning forks, right? So initially the tuning forks are in rest condition. Whenever you give one impact, impinge a force on the tuning fork, it starts vibrating. Okay, so that impact and that initial impingement on the system, we treat as an initiation. Before the initiation, where is the vibration? The system itself, there is a vibration, right? So that there is nothing but the restoring force. And generally, again, in classes, some students after the this lunch break hours, generally some students they undergo this sleepy type of sleepy mode positions, right? So whenever faculty approaches them, he become alert, right? So how he get this alertness, where it is before, it is there inside the system itself. But whenever faculty approaches to the system, the alertness will happen in the student. So like that, for every vibrating system also, so there are some vibrations inside the body, and that vibration is to be initiated. That is the point, right? So these are the three essential points. One is uh, vibration must have the mass, and that must have elasticity property, and the third one is it vibration is to be initiated. Okay, if anybody having any doubt regarding these three, uh, please raise. And the third point is very important. Vibration needs to be initiated. Based on this, the classification of the vibration, the discussion, everything will depend. Okay, right? I hope you all are noting down these points in your notebook. Still, anybody having any doubts? Please raise. Please raise. Why? Because still we are in the early stage of the discussion. If it is clear, then the remaining sections will become easy for us. Still, anybody having any doubts? Please raise. Otherwise, we will move to next discussion. Please respond. Please respond. No, sir, it is clear. Okay, fine, good. Okay, so these are the three essential parts. And next, coming to classification of the vibrations. So these are very important. And related to these classifications, civil people they have some part, and the mechanical people they have some part. Okay, I will tell you each and every one, but I will cover the discussion related to engineering mechanics point of view only. Okay, so those who are from mechanical domain, you will learn the remaining part of the vibration in your vibration gate classes. Okay, and in this context and in this scenario, we are going to discuss related to the mechanics point of view. Mechanics point of view in the sense, single degree of freedom systems of undamped type. That's all. That the point. But the mechanical they have the force vibration also. But in mechanics point of view, there is only free vibration part. Right. So these are the classification based. So classification depends on these. One, based on the direction of the vibratory motion, based on the excitation, based on the degree of freedom, based on the loss of energy, and the based on the linearity. So these are the 5 different ways. So sometimes in real vibrating systems, all the 5 at a time they are acting on the system. Sometimes three base category they are acting like that. There is some discussion. We will see one by one. Don't worry. So the first part, based on the direction of the vibrating motion. So in this, based on the direction of vibrating motion, again there are some classifications. The first part with the longitudinal vibration, second part with the transverse vibration, and the third one with the torsional vibration. Okay, torsional vibration. And related to this longitudinal vibration, here the longitudinal, the axis is parallel to our observed axis. The motion is parallel to the axis, right? All the columns and the shock absorbers. If you take this point, these columns. So generally, what are the main object of the column, and how you treat this column? Any structural member, if it is subjected to compressive type of loads, if it comes under compressive type of loads, so those structural members we treat as a columns. And if it's a tension based type of loads, we treat as a tie rods. Clear? So these columns are always subjected to, okay, these columns are always subjected to compressive type of loading. So due to this compressive type of loading, so there is some disturbance happen inside the material, and due to the mass and the elasticity of the property, so this exhibits the columns. Sometimes those vibrations they are not visible to our naked eye, but there is some disturbance happen inside the system. So nowadays there are many good measuring devices. Even if there is a small disturbance and a minute part of the vibration disturbance occur inside the system, those high sophisticated measuring devices they are able to detect the vibration part. Clear? So this is one way. So based on the direction of the vibrating motion, so this is one way. And the next, coming to this shock absorbers. So generally we come across the shock absorbers in the two-wheelers, right? So whenever the two-wheeler they enter into the deep part of a road surface, right? So at that instant, the two-wheeler starts vibrating. It exhibits the to and from motion. So with respect to this, the force is acting in this direction along the shock absorber, and the vibration is also along the shock absorber. So both these cases, the motion axis and the vibration is in the same direction. So that's why these vibration they treat as a longitudinal vibration. So in this case, if the disturbances happen like this, and the vibrations also happen in this voltage one. So both the force, that means due to that force, the motion part and the vibration part, everything they are in the one direction only. So this comes under the part of a longitudinal vibration. So this category related to direction of a vibrating motion. So this is one classification, a longitudinal vibration. And next, coming to second part, the transverse vibration. Transverse vibration, right? So in this transverse vibration, the motion is perpendicular to the axis. Perpendicular to the axis. So all these beams. So generally beams, again, beams are the structural members subjected to longitudinal, the transverse type of loading. Okay, so generally we come across this type of discussion in our classwork, right? But in reality, so these are the beams. So there are some joints, bolts, like okay, the structural members it consists of many number of all the structural supports. But in general discussion, we treated the beams. Beams are nothing but like this one. Okay, in general in classwork discussion point of view, right? So these beams, due to the load, and again the beams undergoes the deformation, right? And every time it is not compulsory, it is not guaranteed that those vibrations are visible to our naked eye. It is not happen, not so, right? Sometimes it is visible to us and sometimes it may not. So the vibrations perpendicular to the axis of the motion, we treat as a transverse vibrations. And again in our real life systems also, if you take this jumping pads in the sense in swimming pools, there are some jumping pads. So from the pads, usually the swimmer jump from the pad and enter into the swimming pool, right? After he jump from the jumping pad, that pad starts vibrating. So at that time, at that instant, the motion exhibited by the jumping pad is perpendicular to the axis of the motion. So that vibration is perpendicular to the axis of the motion. That we treat as a transverse vibration. So in technical sense, the transverse is nothing but it is the maintaining the 90 degrees perpendicularity. So the motion is perpendicular to the axis of the point, that comes from the transverse vibration. In technical sense, all these structures, beams, in shafts, again the shafts, power transmission elements, all right, and the high tension cable lines. So generally there are some high tension cable lines for the power transmission point, and these cable, cable lines due to the tension and subjected to external forces, sometimes it exhibits the transverse vibrations. Okay, so these are the technical examples, the beams, the shaft, and the tension cable lines related to transverse vibration. And coming to the third classification on this comes under the torsional vibration. Torsional vibration, and motion is about two axis or point. Okay, the motion in terms of the angular base. So all this in terms of the linear base part, and this third one is the motion in terms of the angular base. So rotating type of motion, it comes on the torsional vibrations, right? So this vibrating motion related to direction of the motion. So this is one classification. And next, second classification, based on the excitation. Okay, so this is important. In the essential part of the vibration, we just discussed vibration is to be initiated. That is important for every vibrating system. So based on the vibration initiation, and after the vibration initiation, they are classified these vibrations into two categories. One related to free vibration or the natural vibration, and the other one is the force vibration. In free vibration, what is the after the excitement, the system exhibits the vibration, but it doesn't need any continuous excitement. Continuous excitement in the sense, once if you initiate the vibration, the system vibrates. So the vibrations which are exhibited by the systems after the initiation, those vibrations we treat as a free vibrations or the natural vibrations. Yeah. So that's why excitation is there. Excitation is there. Without excitation, there is no vibration initiation. So after the excitation, after the initiation of the vibration, the system exhibits the vibrations. Those vibrations which has the free vibrations. But in force vibration, what happens? In force vibration, there is a continuous excitement. Every time there is excitement from the external part. Okay, so those vibrations will as the force vibrations. So for mechanical people in their syllabus, in the GATE syllabus, they mention these both the excitation, both natural vibrations and the force vibrations. But for civil people related to this mechanical point of view, they mention only the single degree of freedom of free vibrations. So free vibration in the sense, once the system excited, and after the excitation there is no continuous external force, right? So those there is no continuous excitation, those vibrations would as the free vibrations of the natural vibrations. Okay, for civil people, syllabus is up to free vibrations, but for mechanical people, in addition to this free vibrations, there is a force vibration discussion also there in GATE syllabus. So for mechanical people, there is a separate subject. This vibration is a separate subject for them, right? Okay, but for civil people, this time they are introduced in the GATE syllabus. Okay, so if anybody having any doubt related to this, please rise. Okay, Shravan, every object which vibrates have velocity property, sir. Every object which vibrates have velocity property. Every object which. I'm not understanding your question, Ishuran. What exactly you want? Every object which vibrates have velocity property. Without velocity property, objects are not able to produce vibrations.
అంటే
They
సార్
must have.
వైబ్రేట్ అయ్యే ప్రతి ఆబ్జెక్ట్ కి ఎలాస్టిక్ ప్రాపర్టీ ఉంటుందా?
Yeah, sure. Without that,
ఇప్పుడు మెటల్స్ కూడా వైబ్రేట్ అవుతాయి కదా సార్?
right. Yeah, that is what I am saying. Sometimes those vibrations are visible to our naked eye, and sometimes it is not visible to our eye. Okay, so but whenever a object or a system undergoes the vibration, it must exhibit the to and fro motion. To and fro motion in the sense, it returns its motion with respect to the reference. So due to this elasticity property, during the to and fro motion, it exhibits two forces. It undergoes the two forces. One is called the inertia force, another one is called the restoring force. So that inertia force always tends to move the object in that particular orientation, but this restoring force always pulls the object to regaining the original shape. Okay, so that's why this restoring force and the inertia force, every time they starts fighting each other. So that restoring force technically we treat as a elasticity property. Okay, elasticity property. In your 10+2, there is an experiment called the simple pendulum in physics lab, right? So in that experiment, there is a bob and there is one mean position. With respect to mean position, there are some extreme positions. Every time this bob cross across this mean position, whenever the bob moves to the extreme position, there is a restoring force pulls the bob to the mean position. That restoring force is elasticity. So most of the times, every object having this elasticity property. Okay, is it clear, or you need any clarification? Okay, Amma, thank you. Right. Any doubts regarding this excitation based on this excitation? Any doubts? Please respond. The time is 5 o'clock. Otherwise, we will stop our discussion at this junction and we will continue in the next class. Any doubts? Okay, so I think it is clear. The definition of the vibration is clear. And
Sir, excitation means external energies, huh?
excitation means to wake up.
External force.
No, not like that. External excitation is simply, it is nothing but it is a phenomena in the sense something taken from externally, and with the help of that externally there is some initiation inside the system. So that excitation generally it has a phenomena in the sense it is like a concept. Okay, actually excitation is it is simply an English word. No problem. Perfect means gravity is stopping the excitation. Is it concluded or not? Gravity in the sense Vasu Teja. I'm not understanding your question.
సార్ సార్
Tell me.
గ్రావిటీ అనేది ఎక్సైటేషన్ ని రెస్ట్ పొజిషన్ లోకి తీసుకురావడానికి ట్రై చేస్తుంది కదా సార్.
Here there is one discussion related to this gravity.
Yes, sir.
ఇక్కడ పాయింట్ అక్కడ డిస్కషన్ ఏంటంటే గ్రావిటీ రిలేటెడ్ టు ద సెంటర్ ఆఫ్ మాస్ and the center of gravity and the force related to the whole mass. In which context? If we are reading the context, gravity stopped the excitation related to the simple pendulum experiment, లేకపోతే వైబ్రేషన్ అర్థం కదా?
అంటే వైబ్రేషన్ లోనే సార్. వైబ్రేషన్ లో ఇప్పుడు మనం ఫోర్స్ ఇచ్చినప్పుడు ఆ కొంచెం సేపే కదా సార్ ఉండేది వైబ్రేషన్ అనేది.
రైట్. సో నౌ యు ఆర్ కమింగ్ టు పాయింట్. So why the body comes to rest after the excitation means there is some resisting force acting on it. Resisting force. That resisting force in terms of air resistance or in terms of any resistance. Okay, air in terms of the frictional resistance like that. But gravity force is there, but that force is balanced by some other forces. Okay, if you take
అంటే సార్ గ్రావిటీని కంక్లూడ్ చేస్తామా లేకపోతే దాన్ని నెగ్లిజిబుల్ గా తీసేస్తామా?
No. We are included the gravity force, but the gravity force is balanced by some other force. There is a discussion for that. I will show you all the things how this gravity is balanced by some other force. And while developing the modeling in the sense while framing the mathematical equation, I will show you all those how this gravity is balanced by the spring force, and there are some discussion is there. I will show you. Be patient. Okay. We are included the gravity force. We are not excluded that gravity. We are included that, but that gravity force is balanced by some other force. I will show you in coming sessions. Don't worry. Okay. Still any doubts?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Thank you,
any
sir.
Doubts? Welcome. Still any doubts? Okay, this much interaction is important. Okay, interaction always helps you and always ignites your mind towards the concept, and this will help to clear this type of competitive type of exams. GATE is not that much not ordinary based exam, so be attentive, so be focused, be patient, and be joyous. Still anybody having any doubts? Still anybody having any doubts? Otherwise we'll stop and we conclude our discussion. Is it okay? Students, please respond. Okay, so I summarize today's discussion. We discussed what are the changes in the present GATE, and what are the different types of GATE questions and the levels of questions in the GATE paper, right? And what are the changes related to, and what are the pattern of GATE and total number of marks, like that. There is some discussion. After there is some change in syllabus related to the civil people and the mechanical people. In the civil stream, they are introduced this vibration part, single degree of vibrations of undamped vibrations. So we started that concept as a new to all of you. That's why we started this vibration part. So we define the vibration definition in terms of the scientific approach and the engineering approach, and we are classify the vibrations based on the different classifications, and among those based on the axis of the motion and based on the excitation. And we also discuss different types of applications of vibration in life and vibration in day-to-day life, like that, right? So these are the at glance part. In the next sessions, all of you bring your calculators. Okay, we need to focus on some numerical parts and some practice questions. Why? Because it is important. Otherwise, without practice, attempting the GATE is simply, it is a stupid way. Okay, we need a lot of practice, and we need a lot of attention, and we need a lot of energy. So the focus is very important. Try to maintain the same focus from day 1 to day 100, right? We have just 4 months of time, and we need to cover all the things, and at the same time we also make more number of revisions. That is important for clearing the GATE. That is very, very important. Okay, so from next session onwards, next class onwards, all of you bring your calculators. your calculators. Okay, actually in GATE exam they provide the scientific the virtual calculators, but for our discussion and for our practice sake, we are able to go ahead with the our calculators. Okay, I hope it is clear to all of you. So still anybody having any doubts, please rise. Otherwise, I stop and conclude my discussion at this moment. Is it okay, students? Are you enjoying the session? Are you enjoying? Vasuteja, no doubt. Yes, sir. Okay, Vasuteja, from which branch you are? Whether from civil or mechanical? Vasuteja. Mechanical. Okay, Vasuteja, mechanical. Raghunath, mechanical. And Manjusha, you are from which branch? You are from civil. Okay, right. Already there. Yes, sir. Okay, thank you. Right. I think, I hope it is clear to all of you. Okay, have a nice day. Good day. Bye. Madam, shall I leave?
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Okay, man. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, man.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Welcome. Welcome.